Hello and good day everyone, meteorologist Mark Mullner here for MeteoMark's Weather. It's great to have you here with me. Always glad to have you here as we watch the tropics. We have Invest 94L into the Caribbean. That's going to be heading westward and eventually west-northwest as we head throughout the week towards the weekend. Could this actually be our next tropical storm? We'll take a look at all the details, and we also have a very active intertropical convergence zone. Some of these could actually develop into something as well. And out into the Western Pacific, we are watching Invest 98W out here. Could this system actually threaten the Philippines? This system seems to have popped up out of nowhere. We'll see if this will be our next named storm in the Western Pacific. And I'll also be looking at the severe weather overnight into during the day on Wednesday that could be targeting parts of the Ohio Valley and eventually into the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic as we go into Wednesday night. Let's get into it. All right, so let's start off with the European model here. You can see our tropics looking very active. We have our Invest 94L here into the Caribbean. Initially, it doesn't look so threatening, but watch how it grows in size as it moves across the Caribbean here. You can see as we head throughout Wednesday into Thursday, yeah, this system's really going to become a thing. Even some showers and thunder showers all the way up to Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba. But it's going to be targeting over towards Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. Watch this. Yeah, as we head towards the 28th into the 29th, this system really gets cranking here across the Yucatan, Belize area, Honduras. Watch out. This is a slow mover. And it really reemerges into the Bay of Campeche again. It seems like we're having this broken record. So potential tropical storm. Could we actually have one here? It's possible. And then making landfall, yeah, I hate to say it, right in the same areas of eastern Mexico that just keep seeing these systems over and over again with tremendous rain. It is helping the rain situation in Mexico there. So let's back it up here for the rest of the Atlantic. So as we're dealing with Invest 94L over here, through the 29th into the 30th, look what we're dealing with here. There is that surge I was talking about. We really get this crank in here. And things are really going to start to open up out here into the Atlantic as we head through July 1st. Look at this. And it's crazy to even think this because we're having these strong tropical waves. Just to the north here, we have a massive Saharan dust layer. You can see that's actually hindering any development. But just south of that layer here in the intertropical convergence zone, this is where we're having all of the problems. And as we continue to head out here in time, look at this. This is the second. Look at this wave. I mean, we could have some development here, even way out here south of the Cape Verde as well. This could actually, yeah, we could have some development here right around July 3rd into July 4th. It does start to evidence here on the Euro recurve, but as I said before, we are 234 hours out here, and look at, we're dealing with another strong tropical wave out here into the Western Caribbean, and more waves coming off the coast of Africa. This is crazy. In our last few frames here, you can see we're going to be dealing with a tremendous amount of activity as we head through the first week of July. All right, so our GFS model here, there is our Invest system showing up. Looks a little weak here, but look at that. That's a tropical wave. Yeah, it's probably not going to become much, but there's our intertropical convergence zone out here looking very impressive southeast of Trinidad and Tobago. So here is our system that's going to continue to increase, I think, with chances. There is Invest 94L here. There's that system that was looking impressive. It's getting entrained into this trough, so to speak. But here it is here into the Western Caribbean, looking more impressive as we head into Thursday here as it approaches the eastern part of Nicaragua and Honduras here. Now, well, let's just put this into motion. We can see this system really blossom as it heads towards Belize, towards Friday here. You can see lots of tropical moisture. It's going to bring a lot of rainfall with it. You can kind of see, though, on the GFS, it's kind of pushing a little bit more towards the Eastern Pacific, but we still got feeder bands here onto the north side. So let's just go a little bit further here. That is interesting. It's much further south and west and actually tries to spin it up here into the Eastern Pacific, whereas the European, at this point is much further to the north and emerges it here into the Bay of Campeche. That's something we'll have to keep an eye on. That's pretty interesting. Now, let's just back it up a little bit because we have a few areas of potential development out here. So let's just back this up. There it is. This is showing up very nicely here onto the GFS model. These big tropical waves as we approach Thursday into Friday here into the weekend. Look at this. These are looking pretty ominous out here. They're still staying south of most of this dust that's just to the north here. Let's see what happens with these here. Approaching Barbados, Trinidad, Tobago here towards July 1st. This is looking like it's packing quite a punch. So we'll have to watch for some potential development here. Could this actually approach tropical storm or even hurricane force? Well, we'll have to keep an eye on it here, but it's looking very small circulation, and you got to watch these small circulations because they can get really tightly wound up even this time of year. And another tropical wave behind it, another one out here way off the coast of Africa. That's looking really impressive already. So as we track this wave across the Caribbean, yeah, it heads in the general direction here of Jamaica. So we'll have to keep an eye on it here. Keep in mind this is getting well beyond 200 hours. But it is interesting here to see on the last couple frames. Yeah, it's right in the vicinity of development that Invest 94L is in. So we're having a lot of broken records out here. And then you see these tropical waves, the way they're developing. This looks more like late August or early September. So right around the Cape Verde Islands here, that's where we're dealing with that Saharan dust. One thing to note, though, the Saharan dust is way up in this area, and all the tropical waves are happening right down here where the sea surface temperatures are much warmer. Look at the Eastern Caribbean, the parts of the Western MDR here. Eastern Gulf of Mexico warming back up. We're slowly warming things back up here into the Western Gulf as we've seen a lot of activity, and the heat wave in the Northeast did all of that. All right, so taking a look at the dry air analysis here at mid-layers, you can see our dry air here to the northwestern Gulf. There's all that Saharan dust. It's showing up very nicely here on our model, but there's the intertropical convergence zone very far to the south here. And as we go out here in time, there is our Invest 94L continuing westward, outer bands potentially affecting Jamaica through Thursday into Friday. Look at Central America just getting all that moisture just pummeled up. And look at this next wave. It's really you can really see it. Potential development here. Well, we'll be battling some dry air on the north and northwest side, but nevertheless, the GFS is closing off an area of low pressure as it heads towards the Lesser Antilles, especially the central and southern Lesser Antilles here. So watch out. This could actually become maybe a potential tropical storm. There is our system here into the Bay of Campeche as we head through the weekend into next week. So let's just back that up just a little bit. There it is. It kind of gets washed out a bit, but intertropical convergence zone, look at this big wave, this big blob of moisture coming off of Africa here. So we've got a lot to watch out here. So as we look at our European model, looking at a very similar picture here, there's our Invest 94L and the intertropical convergence zone just looking so impressive. Yes, it's pretty far to the south as it is this time of year. There is all that Saharan dust further to the north. Now let's see if it does its magic. So there is Invest 94L heading into the Bay of Campeche Sunday, June 30th, I should say. There it is. Lots of moisture across Central America. There's our next couple waves. Now keep an eye on them as we go out here in time. European, a little weaker and further to the south, as usually this model is. But look at this. A lot of the Saharan dust is actually making it as far west as the Gulf and the Caribbean here. That's kind of interesting. So these systems will be battling some of this dust. Next system behind it takes a little bit further to the north track here on the European model through July 3rd. And then as we head into July 4th, here it is, another big tropical wave here into the Western Caribbean. And look at the ITCZ out here, just bubbling up with tons of activity. So let's go week by week. Here's our CFS weekly precipitation anomalies. You can see the Caribbean and way out here into the intertropical convergence zone. This flips come early July. There it is across the Caribbean islands, northeast coast of South America. There's the Western Gulf, Central America just continuing. Let's back that up into mid-July. You can see things really solidifying here. So we're going to just continue to watch this surge through the third week of July, all the way up the U.S. East Coast by this point, and towards the end of July. Look at this. Yeah, we're going to be pummeled with one tropical wave after another, and any one of these could actually develop through early August. And the CANSIPS models, we head into July. This has just been consistently bullish on tremendous tropical moisture here. And as we head into August, that just gets worse here across the Caribbean Gulf and Southeast Coast. Into September, yeah, we're kind of increasing it here off the Southeast Coast, so that's a trend we got to keep an eye on. The Gulf, as usual. Into October, still dealing with it here into the Caribbean, all the way out by the Cape Verde Islands. And look at this. We could be talking about storms here into the MDR and Caribbean deep into December. So the Caribbean here, Central America. As we go through the end of the week, this is Invest 94L here. So this is just going to continue the surge of tropical moisture. Even Jamaica and the Cayman Islands picking up about 45 to 60 millimeters here. I know it's not what you want to see more than this, but you know, anywhere from about 3/4 to 1 inch on average here. But look at this as we head through into the first part of July next week. Look at this. This is a lot of moisture. Even parts of Jamaica getting in on this. 80 to as much as 110 millimeters here. Even parts of Nicaragua up to 150 millimeters. Some of these areas could be picking up to 2.5, 6 inches of rain. So as we head into the Eastern Caribbean here, Southeastern Bahamas, there's our exiting off to the west here. Invest 94L. Dealing with a little tropical wave up to the north here. That'll be a thing of the past. But look at as we head into Sunday the 30th. All the way through next week. Here is the surge of moisture showing up here for the Lesser Antilles. Look at this. Anywhere from 80 to as much as 110 millimeters of rain. That's a good solid 3 to 5.5 inches. Severe weather for your Wednesday. Yeah, it's a large area from the Mississippi River Valley all the way up into the Mid-Atlantic here, parts of the Ohio Valley, but more so the Mid-Atlantic here into parts of the Northeast and extreme southern parts of New England here. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the potential damaging wind, large hail, especially into the yellow zone where it's a slight risk. And of course, Thursday, we turn towards the northern plains for some severe weather. And Joe Dre host from the Johnson City, New York area. This was a funnel cloud day this past Sunday with many funnel clouds sighted. One in particular here in Johnson City, New York, Broome County. It traversed across Endicott, Johnson City, and then eventually the north side of Binghamton. But yeah, this system was a pretty big system. You can see, look at those low-hanging clouds, all those vortices in this time lapse. Very nice captures here. Joe Dre host from the Johnson City, New York area. And he also picked it up here on radar. You can see it. There's that tornado warning around the Binghamton area, and you can see it moved just from western Broome County, there it is, into the Johnson City, New York area. And to get that good hook on radar, here he actually captured it. There it is. Let's just stop it right there. You can see there is the hook echo. All right, so as we look at our severe weather as we go into the overnight, these are the areas that we're going to have to watch, the Mississippi and eventually the lower Great Lakes and Ohio River Valley. But the main focus is going to be as we get into tomorrow morning. It's going to be dependent on how much of these mesoscale convective systems are left over from the previous night. And you can see some showers moving through Cleveland, noon, 1 p.m. But look what really starts to get firing here, even down in through the Tennessee Valley here. But look at up here into parts of Pennsylvania, into Virginia, New Jersey. This is where things really start to get cranking. For you storm lovers north of I-80, though, your chances are slimmer due to less instability and more clouds and showers. But look how this races across southern and central Pennsylvania through Harrisburg. This is the rush hour into 8 p.m. Look at New York City. We really start to get in the act of some severe weather, and then it starts to hit the marine layer and fall apart, so to speak, as it heads into southeastern New England towards 2 a.m. But there it is. Let's just back that up. There is that future radar loop that moves off the coast. And look at that. Even into the 27th here. I want to make note of this. This is towards 5 p.m. We might actually get some showers and thunderstorms refiring back here in some leftover instability, but I don't expect any of them to really become severe. Look what starts to explode out here into the plain states for later Thursday into early Friday. Look what starts to happen down here into the deep south. We get into 3 p.m. all the way through 7 p.m. Yeah, these don't look, that major. It's going to bring some good beneficial rains to Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, and Georgia. But look at this cyclonic flow as it heads down and through parts of Alabama here. That is kind of crazy. So we kind of have an upper level low essentially cutting off here across the deep south. And that's going to bring us some real nice beneficial rain. Now, I wanted to show you the HRRR model because I do believe it is handling this storm here that's heading into the Ohio Valley in the northeast pretty well for tomorrow, probably more so than the NAM, which has it a little too far to the south. But, as we see here, there's a little bit more instability here on the HRRR model and a little bit further to the north. So as we get into 3 p.m. tomorrow, you can see activity really exploding here across parts of eastern Ohio, initially parts of northern Ohio, but more so here into Pennsylvania. You can see here towards 5 p.m. Look what's going on here. So I really do agree that we're going to have things really start to kick off across these areas during the afternoon on Wednesday. And you can see that how that transpires across southern Pennsylvania. Initially we're into eastern Ohio and north central Pennsylvania and central Pennsylvania, and then we're going to translate that into eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey and parts of southern New England. So watch out. Yeah, this was 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Wednesday. So there is your time frame. So the HRRR is just a little tad further to the north. All right, so picking up where our future radar, our NAM 3 kilometer left off, here it is as we head through the weekend. You can see our next storm system moving towards the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes here. High pressure retreating off the U.S. East Coast here. And essentially what's going on is it's the weekend, so you know what time that is? It's time for some storms and some rain up here into the northeast. And some of these storms could contain damaging wind, large hail. As we get into Saturday, into Sunday here, yeah, unfortunately, Sunday, that's going to be the next surge. Damaging wind, large hail, heavy rain, flash flooding threat. And bingo, just in time for Monday and Tuesday, high pressure builds in. There is our next big storm up here into the northern plains, spreading severe weather once again into Minnesota. It seems Minnesota is under the gun for tremendous severe. And look at this. Yeah, July 3rd, you knew that high pressure wouldn't last here in the east because look what's heading towards you here in Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, into New England for July 4th. Look at this. So here's the deal. It may actually clear much of the eastern Great Lakes by July 4th. This would be great for you. However, here into the northeast and mid-Atlantic, we may still be dealing with some shower and thunderstorm activity firing. Here's 2 p.m. on July 4th. The whole East Coast seems to be entrained into this until the 5th. Yeah, high pressure built in. So taking a look at our liquid equivalent here on our GFS through Friday, you can see the Ohio Valley into the northeast, most areas 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch with the purple zones over an inch. Severe weather out here into the Central Plains, and Florida is actually going to be picking up some beneficial rain here with some tropical moisture. Look at Texas, though. You're in the rain hole here. Actually, no rain except in far eastern Texas. And look at this as we head through July 4th here. You can see where the storm track's going to be way up here to the north, but you're picking up with this upper level low across the southeast, some beneficial rain. So our European run here on precipitation, this shows it really nicely here. Look at this Wednesday into early Thursday, so Wednesday and Wednesday night in particular. Ohio Valley into the northeast. There's a widespread area that could pick up 3/4 to 1.5 inches, especially into the purple zones here. There's Texas and parts of the Carolinas with the rain hole here. But look at this, as we head through the weekend, we just pile it onto the same areas here. Look at parts of Missouri all the way to Ohio, Pennsylvania, southern New England. These red zones are 2 to as much as 3.5 inches of rain, so watch out. There could be flash flooding in some locations. As we continue to go out here in time, you can see all the way through July 5th here. Wow, look at Texas, that big rain hole. But even the southeast here, the Carolinas, Gulf Coast, Florida, picking up some beneficial rain here. So if we look at our upper air pattern here, things are going to be getting a bit more active along the east here, eastern North America. But then it's towards the weekend we start to strengthen that ridge across the south and more activity here across the northern streams. But then, of course, as we get around or just past July 4th, watch out because we got a big ridge building in. This could be the start of another heat wave. And then as we progress into the first part of July, there it is, big ridge building in the east, but you do have these systems around the upper periphery here into Canada that could chip away at some of this heat, this big heat ridge. But look at this, as we head through mid-July, there's evidence we could be seeing a massive high-pressure system try to build in and then some more troughiness. So it's going to be a flip-flop back and forth, which is pretty good. So hopefully we'll get enough moisture to get some rainfall in between some of those warming trends as we head through the last week of July here. You can see that big old Bermuda high off the east coast. All right, so our European model here for Canada. Let's take a look. So that system into eastern Canada is going to be moving out come midweek here, and then we're replaced by a couple active systems here across the southern tier of Canada. Southern Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, and then eventually into Ontario as we head towards the weekend here. Friday, in particular, a nice day here into southern Ontario and Quebec, though, over towards New Brunswick, clearing out. But look at that, just in time for the weekend, we have a potential system that could bring some strong to severe thunderstorms across southern Ontario and Quebec here. This low pressure has a lot of dynamics going with it. Damaging wind, large hail, look at that. That's 11 p.m. on the 29th. So as we're getting into Saturday night, that could really impact your weekend here. That's going to try to move out, but it's going to really make a Sunday cloudy and rainy here across much of southeastern Canada. Sorry to say that, but it's Monday. High pressure builds into eastern Canada. Look at that. Yeah, just in time for Monday. But look at the severe weather outbreak that ensues here across Saskatchewan and Manitoba. As we head into July 1st, into July 2nd, some of these storms could be damaging wind, large hail, and watch out for some potential tornadoes, dragging a cold front here through July 3rd here, but some high pressure building in behind. Ooh, we're way up into northern Canada there. And then watch this as we head through July 4th into July 5th. Things get very, very active here across southeast Canada. You know it would because, in 4th of July here, in the States, we're celebrating it, and look what's going to be happening here into the Northeast. Isn't that just wonderful? But there it is across Quebec, that low-pressure system riding high here, and finally bringing some high pressure here into Quebec by July 5th. So for Canada here, how much moisture are we talking about here? So along the United States-Canadian border, and then about a couple hundred kilometers northward here, that's where we're going to see most of the rainfall and storms here in the west and central provinces. But look at here into southeast Canada. Unless you're into the far north, Ontario and Quebec here, most of southern Ontario and Quebec is seeing a bit of a drying trend here until we get into more the first week of July. But yeah, still, this looks pretty good compared to last year when you're dealing with all the wildfires. Most areas picking up 35 to 70 millimeters, which is a good, inch or two in most locations. So out here into the Western Pacific, Invest 98W. It is a massive conglomeration around the Philippines here. Let's see if this system has a chance to develop. So as we head through Wednesday into Thursday, the European model's taking it essentially this direction right across the central and southern Philippines, although it's hard to tell because it's got tremendous moisture with it. Now, it does try to veer maybe a little bit more towards the north here in time, so a potential path more towards Taiwan as we continue out here in time. You can see it dragging all those showers and thunderstorms up with it as we head through June 29th into the 30th. Yeah, it could actually get entrained into the westerlies up here into eastern China and Japan, so the monsoon season might actually help carry this system away. So any development, it's not looking that impressive, but it is the most impressive wave we've seen in quite some time. All right, so our Invest 98W here on the GFS looking really impressive. See how it moves into Wednesday, into Thursday. It's actually looking a bit more impressive here on the GFS model. The GFS taking it a little bit stronger and further west here. Here's Hong Kong. Here's Taiwan. So essentially around this broad area of high pressure way up here northeast of Japan. So essentially this ridge is actually pushing the system further west on the GFS. So we'll have to see if that actually takes root here. But in time, it seems to get, weaken and loss here, which is some great news. You can see our last frame here. The moisture with it is all the way up here into Seoul, South Korea by this point around July 3rd. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment, but take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
All right, so temperature-wise, not too bad across the Midwest, lakes, and Northeast. Yeah, we do get a little surge of 90s ahead of this frontal boundary, help feeding that severe weather Wednesday. But look at Thursday, 70s really kick in and across much of the lakes Northeast. Texas will be baking, though, as well as the Carolinas. Some areas approaching the upper 90s to near 100. That actually expands east as we head throughout Friday. You can see parts of southern Ohio getting well into the 90s again. But look there's a cooler shot of air up here into the northern plains, into the 60s. And look what's happening here. Heat is starting to build into the eastern Rockies here and the mid-Atlantic region into the 90s. And into Sunday, we see evidence of some cooler air heading across the lakes in the Northeast, keeping it in the upper 70s and lower 80s. But here is the evidence by July 1st. Look at this heat building. Is it heading east? That's what it looks like. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, Upper Susquehanna River Valley from Binghamton to Scranton. Let's take a look. Yeah, showers and thunderstorms Wednesday up towards the 90s. Some of these could contain damaging wind, large hail, and some very heavy rain, so watch out, especially in the afternoon, evening hours. Into Wednesday night as well. Thursday, we clear it out, mostly sunny skies, upper 70s into Friday. A little bit warmer up towards the low 80s, but Saturday and Sunday, unfortunately, we get towards the weekend, especially Saturday. Showers and thunderstorms likely. Some could contain damaging wind and large hail. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.